to the Conscious Conception Show with me, Sue Ritchie. This show will take you from confusion to clarity, confidence and emotional healing to a joyful pregnancy. This is the place where we uncover the real truth about fertility and why preparing for conception, mind, body and soul, is more important than ever. With honest, empowering conversations, we'll explore the hidden factors impacting fertility and how a holistic approach can help you take back control of your journey. Whether you're trying naturally, navigating IVF, or just starting out, know this: you're not alone, you're not broken, and you're already on your way. So let's walk this path together. Hi, and welcome to the Conscious Conception Show with me, Sue Ritchie. I'm a holistic health and fertility specialist, and I'm so delighted that you're joining me today, especially as we're going to be talking about a really important topic, which is really important for anyone undergoing, the fertility journey, but also people who are going through the pregnancy and also coming up to the whole birth scenario as well. Now, when people think about preparing for a baby, they often focus on nutrition, supplements, medical support, and they're all important. But what if one of the most important things you could be doing for yourself and your future child starts actually with your mindset? Now, many women and couples trying to conceive are carrying a lot of weight emotionally, the stress of uncertainty, the disappointment of, negative pregnancy tests, the fear that, maybe time is running out, and really worrying about what the future holds too. And these emotions don't just affect how we feel. They create real physiological responses within the body. And ongoing stress and fear can influence the hormones that the body produces. And that affects not only your well-being, but also potentially the environment in which conception, pregnancy, and birth takes place. But the good news is that, mindset isn't about, thinking positive thoughts all of the time. It's not about perfection. It's really about learning the skills that help us to, manage our thoughts, navigate challenges, build resilience, and also create a greater sense of calm and confidence within us as well. And these aren't just fertility skills. These are pregnancy skills, birth skills, parenting skills, and also life skills. So today we're going to be exploring how creating the best emotional environment before conception can really support both mother and baby, and actually throughout the whole journey into birth and baby arriving. So joining me today, I'm so delighted, is Debbie Willis, and she's a pregnancy and birthing coach. And I think, she does amazing work in helping women who are on this journey. Well, probably couples as well, I believe, too. So Debbie, lovely to have you to join us today. Now, perhaps you could start by sort of, giving us a little bit about, how you actually got into doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your show as well. It's lovely to be here. And I love talking about this stuff. So it's going to be a fantastic little journey we're going to go on today, I think. How I got here, I have two teenagers and I had some positive experiences with them during pregnancy and birth. And I know that that was down to what I did during pregnancy and before pregnancy probably as well, but mainly during my pregnancy I did preparation, I planned, I educated myself, and the things that I learned during pregnancy had a massive impact on my birth. I was in the corporate world with a couple of young children and realized that what I really wanted to do was talk more about birth and share the kind of tools and techniques that I learned with others. And I wanted other people to have more positive experience like I did, a better birth experience. And I've just fed up with hearing a lot of negative, a lot of traumatic stories, and wanted it to be different to people, for people. So I got made redundant in my role about 14, 15 years ago now, and just retrained and haven't looked back, because I now, I'm still working in this field and supporting women and couples to have a positive birth experience, and absolutely love doing it. And it doesn't seem to matter what kind of birth they have had, what kind of pregnancy journey they've had, or journey to pregnancy that they have had. You know, the stories I get back, the birth stories I get back, the reviews I get back are all just wonderful. And they pretty much say, even if, it hasn't quite gone down that plan A route, they still come back and say, actually, it was still fine and it was still good and it was still a positive experience, which is what I always aim for. So yeah, I love doing what I do.
And it's brilliant. And I think, it's women struggle, don't they, so much with worrying about what's going to happen and how things are going to go. And as you say, I think people also hear all sorts of, rather traumatic stories from other people around them, which can then make people feel a little bit unsettled and scary as to, what the road ahead is going to look like. So, and I think the other thing is like, many people don't sort of start thinking about pregnancy or birth until they actually, physically become pregnant.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to ask you, why do you believe that, mindset work should really begin before conception?
Mm. Well, it's as you've just said, really, because your beliefs and your memories hugely influence your actions and how your body reacts to things. So yeah, before you even become pregnant, before you even decide to start to try to have a baby, you're already taking in huge amounts of kind of information around pregnancy and birth and everything to do with that journey. And a lot of it is really traumatic, as you've just said. It's from the TV, it's from films, and a lot of that is dramatic and traumatic because that makes it more exciting. So that's why they put it on like that. You don't get the boring births on the telly, right? So, and the birth stories you hear from your colleagues and from, from family members and friends, a lot of it is traumatic because, they want to share those stories and make sure that, you don't have that traumatic experience too. And it means that all of that's been feeding in over many, many years. And we hold those kind of traumatic and negative experiences in our subconscious brain, not even knowing that those beliefs and those thought patterns are really there until pregnancy and birth happens. It's being fed in on that kind of subconscious level. But birth isn't all traumatic and painful and scary. It can be amazing. It can be beautiful and really positive. And the more we feed in the positive stuff, the birth stories where they were able to do it and trust in their bodies, the more we educate ourselves about how the body works, for example, then, we're more likely then to believe that we can have a positive experience and it's more likely to actually happen. And preconception offers that wonderful opportunity, in my view, to build trust in your body, to learn how to calm that busy mind. And that's going to help for pregnancy, for birth, and definitely as a parent too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I think I think it's a skill actually for anybody really, even though people are, going through this, the whole fertility and pregnancy and birth journey. But it's it's a good skill for everybody for managing life really, because life always has challenges that pop up, doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Unfortunately. So what are some of the most, common fears, worries, or limiting beliefs you see in women, that they're actually carrying into their conception journey? And how do you see those sort of affecting both fertility and pregnancy?
This is a great question. I I support a lot of couples, a lot of women where they are holding on to a lot of fear, a lot of worries, a lot of limiting beliefs. And, I think one of the biggest ones is that worry or that fear that their body is not going to be able to do it. It's not going to be able to get pregnant because of my age, because of various different factors. I think, well, I'm not going to be able to do it. It could be a fear of not being able to actually hold or carry a baby, possibly because of previous events, losses, or other people's stories. And I maybe am not the fear of not being able to actually birth a baby without having lots of medical intervention. Yeah, and how we think how we feel affects the hormones that are produced in our bodies. Yeah. And you have talked about this before on this show as well. You know, the more we're in fear, the more we worry about a thing, the more those stress hormones are flowing in our body. And the hormones, you know, that help us conceive, that help our bodies grow babies and help us birth them, are not actually present when those stress hormones are there. Those stress hormones block all the good hormones. You know, those stress hormones like cortisol, like adrenaline, they block the feel-good hormones, the hormones like oxytocin, like endorphins. And your mind is, you know, constantly communicating with your body through these hormones and through these stress hormones, actually. And if it is stress hormones that are going into your system because of things that are going on in your life, that is just telling your body that it's not safe right now to make a baby. It's not safe right now to grow a baby or birth a baby, which is like, whoa. So that I think is probably one of the biggest fears, that fear that I'm not going to be able to do it. And it puts a massive kind of effect on your body, you know, right from preconception all the way through. The other fears I hear quite a lot about is, yeah, well, I suppose I've already mentioned about, you know, struggling to conceive because of something else, you know, because of something else they've heard about. Which just doesn't help you, does it? You know, that doesn't necessarily mean that that thing's going to happen to you. It doesn't necessarily mean that just because you're 45 and your colleague who's 45 is struggling to conceive doesn't mean that you're going to struggle to conceive because you're a different person. Um, there's another one as well that all of my couples come up with, and it's quite an emotional and sensitive kind of fear, but it's often one that's not even said in the room that I know is there. And that's the one about the fact that my baby's not going to survive. You know, I might be able to actually do it, but my baby may not survive or may not be very healthy at the end of it. And when it comes out, or that I won't survive, or that my health will be impacted in some ways. And I think the main thing I want to get across with this one is that you have more control over these things than you think you have. You know, you can reduce the need, for example, for medical interventions and the likelihood of complications in labor, for example. Yeah. Um, yeah, it can result in you just kind of thinking that it's out of my control. But there are a lot of things you can do to help kind of get the ball back into your court to help you feel more in control. Um, there's so many fears that I see that women have, and you can see that, you know, you can see that just having a fear that you won't be able to get pregnant will have a massive impact. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, I mean, I think conclusion there, yes, mindset can significantly influence the conception journey, and it's the same for pregnancy and birth too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's it can be so difficult in that you know, everybody's so exposed to so many of the sort of, you know, tragic stories and things like that, that it's amazing how you can actually sort of, you know, sort of imbibe all that sort of stuff, if you like, and then creating all these
Yeah.
fears inside as well. But you know, as you say, you know, our mindset, if you like, and the power of our thoughts is just so important. And we really can, you know, by becoming aware, I think for me it's the awareness of those thoughts and those fears that are in your head that can actually help you to, you know, notice them and then take some action. So, you
Yeah.
know, I suppose, can you sort of explain the connection between a mother's emotional well-being during conception and pregnancy and the whole sort of developing baby? What's happening? What's going on there?
Yeah, and there is a big connection here because we are biologically connected to our babies, right? And it means that whatever affects us affects our babies too, you know, full stop. Our bodies, you know, so our bodies in growing a baby is, you know, our bodies and our babies are used to kind of stress levels going up and down, right? And but the problem we get is when chronic stress comes into our system in that kind of non-stop high level stress, that's when it can be a real issue. And it can have a cumulative effect as well. You know, and in terms of how it affects that developing baby, you know, it can really, I mean, the studies have shown nowadays that quite new studies over recent years have shown that it can restrict blood flow to the placenta, which, can also increase inflammation as well. Those stress hormones can affect, and therefore can also, because of that inflammation, affect immune system for mum as well. So you can see very clearly there's a direct kind of connection between how you're feeling and how you're kind of managing those stress levels and how the health of your baby. When we're calm and feeling safe and feeling supported, there's this gorgeous kind of spiral of self-care and well-being, as opposed to a negative spiral of kind of stress and overwhelm. There's also some evidence to suggest that a body experiencing a large amount of stress can mean the baby's born prematurely as well, which, is not great for your baby, as you can imagine. There's knock-on effects throughout. It can influence recovery after the birth as well, and bonding with your baby. Yeah, definitely a big connection there for your developing baby, and a lot of people don't realize that either.
No, and it's, yeah, as you said, when those stress hormones, when they're going through your body, your baby is also experiencing them as well. And and I've seen research show that actually, that can actually sort of create more anxiety in the baby, even after birth as well, which
Yeah,
is not a great way to start life either, is it?
no,
And when you're sort of in that after the birth and the baby's back home, you want to be able to be, calm and confident, and and it just makes it a better experience for both mum and also baby too.
yeah.
So, what role do you think does mindset play in really shaping a woman's experience of birth, and how can, positive pregnant preparation really before pregnancy really help women to sort of approach the whole birth scenario with much greater confidence and trust?
Yeah, good question. I mean, the way we think shapes how we experience kind of things happening in our bodies. The more we say we can't do something, the more likely it is we can't do that thing, right? And the more we say that we can do that thing, the more likely it is that we are going to be able to do that thing. That kind of self-talk is very important. Confidence, for example, comes from knowledge, comes from support, comes from understanding that you've got choices. Knowledge and education is really key in my view, and because the more we know about a thing and how it works, the more we feel in control of that thing. We talked about kind of worries and fears. A lot of women come into kind of conception and pregnancy with that fear of being out of control. It's something that's out of my kind of hands. And actually one of the things that one of the tools I suppose that I use and techniques that my clients use is hypnosis. Hypnosis can help massively to change some of those subconscious thoughts and help you to put kind of trust in your body. It can be a real game changer, and that's why it's one of the tools that I use. It kind of helps on a couple of different levels. I always say it can help with switching off the conscious part of your brain, because that part of your brain is manifesting all the worst case scenarios and is responsible for all the stress hormones. So if we can switch that off, then that is an amazing kind of first step of helping you to feel calmer and get rid of some of those stress levels. So hypnosis can really help you get into that calm state, because when you're, in that hypnotic state, it is really calm, it's soothing, you can switch off a lot of those thoughts going on. But also the second reason why it helps is you can transform or change some of those thoughts you have in your subconscious mind, the beliefs you have, the memories you may have. You can help you put trust in your body that it's designed to do that thing, i.e. to, make that baby, grow that baby and birth that baby, because, you need to be able to put trust in that process. So it can be a fabulous tool, hypnosis. So I love using that one. It can really help to kind of change a woman's birth experience for the better. Yeah.
I think probably we ought to just say a little bit about, because I think with hypnosis has a bit of a fear thing for people, because they see all these things on television where people are,
Yeah.
hypnotized to become a chicken and dancing on the stage and whatever. And, and that is, and the truth is that hypnosis can't make you do something that you don't
No,
want to do. So there's nothing to fear from it
absolutely not.
at all. And
Mhm.
it's a bit worrying
Yeah.
when they show those sort of things on the
No,
television.
you're always in control, and I often call it self-hypnosis, because it takes that stigma away of you thinking that someone else is in control, because you are always in control. Yeah. It's
Absolutely,
quite
absolutely.
different to the entertainment, hypnosis for entertainment, that's for sure. Yeah.
That's yeah, absolutely. So for someone who's sort of currently trying to conceive and really feeling stressed, anxious or fearful, about the future, are there some simple steps that you could sort of, recommend, if you like, for somebody to start doing today to really help to create a better positive. Oh, excuse me. I've had a bit of a virus this week, so my voice is
Oh,
not great. I was wondering how long it would last. So
sounding
please
good.
forgive me, everybody. So yeah, so what are some tips you could give
Mm.
people to really start building a positive foundation for, going into conception, but also pregnancy and birth?
Yeah, absolutely. I think number one is learn how to switch off the conscious part of your brain. Yeah, that bit, that kind of monkey brain, that bit that is always kind of on alert and, producing all those stress hormones and manifesting all the worst case scenarios, risk assessing everything. Learn how to switch that part of your brain off. Find the thing that works for you, because we're all different. Some people say, oh, I kind of calm my mind by, focusing on my breathing. Yeah, it can help for a lot of people, but for some it doesn't. So finding the thing that works for you is really, really important, because we're all different. I teach a big toolbox of different tools and techniques on purpose so we can find the thing or the top three things that really work for you. I think the second point is actually around kind of communicating with the medical side of things, because I find a lot of the women and the couples that I work with struggle with that a bit. So I think my tip here is around appointments actually with the medical professionals, and please, please, please just prepare for them. Yeah, take your notepad with you and your pen or your note section on your phone. Write down the things they're saying. Ask them why. Get them to explain the things that they're talking about. Get them to talk in kind of common, kind of normal language rather than technical. It will make a big difference to you, and you can then. So it's also okay to say, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's a yes or no right now. I need to go away and talk about it with my partner or what have you. Okay. So I think appointments is quite a big one. And you can start doing that from very early on. Yeah. If
Yeah.
you're seeing consultants and medical professionals before the baby's in there. And so yeah, you can do that from early on. And also your top priority is you. And I think this is really key, because a lot of us women are like this, right?
Very
Everyone else
true,
is more
very
important
true.
than us, yeah. But when you are trying to conceive, when you are pregnant, when you're birthing your baby, your top priority is you. I cannot say that enough. And if you can't remove the everyday stresses, yeah, and the everyday stuff that's, the work, the boss that's, annoying you or whatever, that's giving you a hard time, then make sure you've got time. Make sure you are able to have that downtime. Make sure you're able to switch off and let your body recover. Get that into a daily habit so that when you are trying to conceive, when you are pregnant, when you have that baby in your arms, it's second nature, and you can just do it because you know the thing that helps to get you relaxed and helps to get you kind of in that zone. Yeah.
No, that's really great, Deb. Well, unfortunately, we're sort of coming now to the end of our
Oh,
time together, and
that
God,
was quick.
it's gone really quick, and I'm sure we could talk for hours longer about
Yeah.
this topic. So, I just really wanted to thank you ever so much for being, on the show today and sharing
Thank
your
you.
wisdom and all your insights. And can you share how people can, contact you, find out more about your work?
Absolutely, yeah. My website is betterbirthandbaby.co.uk. You can find me on the socials at Better Birth and Baby. Yeah, and just send me a DM, email me, have a look around my website. Yeah, absolutely. I love to support women to have a positive experience through pregnancy and birth. And I do free calls as well. So you can just have a free chat with me. It's like a mini birth and pregnancy coaching call. So yeah, just have um, get in touch and we can have a chat to see if I can help and see if I can support you at all.
One of the key messages I've taken away from our conversation today, Debbie, is that, mindset isn't about being positive all of the time, or pretending that, challenges don't exist. It's really about learning, how to respond to life's challenges in a way that supports our well-being rather than actually being, having it overwhelm us. So, for anyone who's listening today, feeling stressed, feeling anxious, feeling frustrated by your fertility journey, I really hope today's conversation has shown you that there are things that you can do within your control. You can learn skills that can help you to really manage all those negative thoughts, calm your nervous system, build resilience, and really create greater trust in yourself, but also in your body too. And, I think perhaps most importantly, these aren't just skills for conception. These are skills that, are going to help you to create a calmer pregnancy, contribute to a more positive birth experience, and really support you to navigate the joys, but also the challenges that come with parenthood. And if you'd like to learn more about creating the best foundation for conception and a healthy baby, I've just got 5 free fertility focus sessions left this month. And, if you want to take up one of those, you can book one by going to my website, sue-ritchie.com. That's Ritchie. And yeah, you can just go there and book one, and that would be great. We're not just talking about conception, we're really talking about creating healthy, happy couples who are supported, informed, and empowered, really to become, healthy, happy parents. Because to me, that's the best gift you can give to your future child. And to me, it's the heart of it all. So really, creating healthy, happy babies, happy couples to create healthy, happy babies is, really what I'm all about. And that's why I'm sharing what I share. And now on the show next month, we're going to be talking about a new and exciting area, and that's the vaginal microbiome and how that actually impacts the whole situation of conception as well. So that's quite an exciting and new area. And so do tune in to next month's show. And, till the next time, do take care of yourself and remember that every positive step you take today is an investment in not only your future, but also your future family as well. Thank you for listening to the Conscious Conception Show with me, Sue Ritchie. To stay informed and inspired, be sure to tune in every third Tuesday of the month at 7:30 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and sign up for my newsletter for helpful tips on boosting fertility and preparing for positive, empowered parenthood. If you're ready for more support, connect with me on social media on Instagram and LinkedIn and at Optimum Fertility, or visit my website at sue-ritchie.com.